Hey guys, it's Katrina Parr, ERYT. Thank you for joining me for Empower Yoga. We're going to be going through another sequence of vinyasa today. So we'll be going through some Surya Namaskar A and some Surya Namaskar B. We'll be doing a few floor poses. We'll get warmed up, we'll stretch out, we'll have a lovely Shavasana. So today I have a strap. We'll be using this a little bit later to stretch out. And I actually have two blocks. We're going to try in arm downs tonight. And I'll show you how to do it with using blocks. We might use them for other things too. So find a spot in your house, grab a few props or things that resemble these props, and find yourself comfortable on your mat. And we're going to go into a nice meditation tonight. Our meditation is going to be themed happiness. So there can be so many amazing things that happen throughout your course of your life that bring about or spark happiness. And what's pretty cool is that happiness is something that everyone has in common. You and I, everyone watching this video, people you've never even met, everyone is on their pursuit of happiness. That is just one commonality that we all have, and it's pretty cool to think that you have something in common with everyone that you've ever met, anyone that exists, essentially. So there are, of course, times where you may feel unhappiness. Stress or tension can bring on some negative emotions, and there's times where you may not feel as close to your happiness as you have always been. So we're going to take a moment in our meditation to tune into the miracles, the millions of miracles that make your everyday possible, and why happiness is truly in existence in your everyday and every moment of every day. So again, find yourself sitting comfortably on your mat, any yoga posture or any basic sitting posture, as long as you're feeling comfortable. Close your eyes and start to scan your body. Close your eyes, looking for the sensations that you feel right here in your present moment from the crown of your head. Scanning down through your body, looking for the sensations all along the trunk of your body until you get the root of your pose. You feel the sits bones pressing into the mat in whatever pose you've chosen. And with every sensation you've cultivated, what you know is the present moment in your body. So with your eyes still closed, feeling relaxed, witness what's happening in the Chitta Vritti. Fully aware of who you are and how you feel in this yoga pose or in this comfortable sitting posture. Now begin to explore who you are in the Chitta Vritti, the presentation of your mind. And while you explore those dreams, memories, emotions, whatever might be populating into your mind, be aware of any happiness that you find there. Maybe some really good memories, maybe some dreams of what tomorrow might bring. And if while you're exploring the Chitta Vritti, you witness any void of happiness, any anxiety or any negative emotions that you might find as you sift through the Chitta Vritti of your mind, with your next exhale, just let those things drift away. Everyone is on their pursuit of happiness, and everyone deserves the happiness that is present in their lives. And naturally, some of the happiness that you might have in your life can sometimes be clouded by negative feelings, negative emotions, or experiences that are less pleasant. Witness those awarenesses of those things. They're still yours. You own every experience you've ever had. It's your inventory of who you are. Just let those things go right now. And let your drishti, let the focal point for this yoga practice, be your own happiness. Zero in on the happiness you feel right now in this moment, and zero in on the happiness that might be a little off into the distance. All right, let's open the eyes. We're going to inhale and sweep the arms up. Exhale, just float the arms back down. And let's do that again. Inhale, arms rise up. Exhale, float the arms down. Plant the heel of the right hand and sweep your left arm up. Peeling your left shoulder back, gaze up over the left tricep. And float that left hand down. The heel of the left hand touches down as the right arm reaches overhead. A deep inhale here. And exhale, float that right arm down. Now let's roll the shoulders up to your ears, peel them back and melt them down behind you. And again, inhale, arms, shoulders up, all the way back and down behind you. Just do a few more of those on your own pace. Shoulders roll up, peel all the way back and down behind you. One more deep inhale. And let's exhale. Walk up onto hands and knees and meet me in Virabhadrasana, child's pose. Knees out to the width of the mat. Big toes touch, hips over your heels, long spine as your forehead reaches down toward the mat. Let's come up back into your hands and knees. And we'll flow through Vrksasana from tabletop pose. So exhale and round your spine, drop your tailbone, drop the crown of the head. Inhale as you arch your spine. Float the sits bones up, chest, heart open, gazing up. Exhale again as you round your spine. Inhale as you arch. Exhale again as you round. And then meet me up in downward facing dog. Curl your toes under, lift your sits bones high. Lengthen out the legs. Roll your shoulders up and away from your ears. Gaze between your thighs and internally rotate your upper thighs. So pedal your feet in your downward facing dog. Stretching into your hamstrings and gastrocnemius muscles. Crawl up onto the toes. The ball of the foot and the toes of your feet. And then drop your heels to the left. Lift back up to your toes, drop your heels to the right. And do that a couple more times, stretching the entire length of the back of the legs. And then meet me back in downward facing dog. Bend your knees a lot, gaze forward, and slowly walk up to the front of the mat. So we're going to come up into Ardha Uttanasana. So lengthening through your legs, reaching the crown of the head forward. Deep inhale here, Ardha Uttanasana. And exhale, drop the crown of the head. Inhale again, lifting up halfway. Your hands are either at your shins, fingertips might just be at the mat, and you're reaching through the crown of the head for Ardha Uttanasana. Spreading the toes like peacock feathers as you exhale. Bow a little into your toes, then drop the crown of the head, Uttanasana. Bend into your knees, sink your hips, take your arms out at your sides, and come back to standing. Let your palms touch as you rise up, and exhale your palms at your heart. So let's go into some Surya Namaskar A. Just a nice slow Surya Namaskar A to begin. So stand at the front of your mat. Mountain pose. Your feet are hip distance and parallel. Big toes are pointing forward. Toes are spread like peacock feathers. And your mountain pose is actually a really strong pose. So feel the feet rooting into your mat. Feel the crown of the head rising up the sky. Feel the action of your legs. So feeling your shins trying to pull together. Just a little isometric energy in your shins. Internally rotating your thighs like you're trying to stamp your inner thighs on a wall behind you. And then drop your tailbone, tucking your hips. Tucking your pelvis under your hips. Hips are square, shoulders are square, heart feels open. And you have no tension in your eyes or your jaw or your shoulders. This is your mountain pose. Let's flow through Surya Namaskar A. So let's inhale, sweep the arms up high, let your palms touch. Draw your navel in as you hinge at your hips and bow into a forward fold. And your hands can come down to the mat. Inhale as you lift up back halfway again. This is your Ardha Uttanasana. And exhale, step the right foot back. Lunge pose. So drop your tailbone down. Fingertips are just there for your balance on the mat. Squeeze your inner thighs together. Exaggerate the lift of that right leg. Take a deep inhale. And let's exhale, plant both hands on the mat. Squeeze your knee into your chest and gracefully float it out behind you. And on that same exhale, lower down through Chaturanga Dandasana. Shoulders peel back, tops of your feet touch the mat, but the knees do not. The knees are just lifted a little bit. And your shoulders peel back as your heart opens on a deep inhale. Bhujangasana. Exhale, Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. Your hands are below your shoulders. You activate the core and you press up into your push-up and all the way back up into your downward facing dog. Plant the left foot. Inhale, lift the right leg high. And exhale as you step that right foot forward. Setting up for the same pose on the opposite side. So position your feet just as they were on the opposite side. And again, here you're going to amplify that long leg behind you, just lifting the knee. Very strong left leg. You're in a 90-degree bend in that right knee. Hands are just here on the mat for your balance. You can use the ujai breath here. Take a deep inhale. Coming out of this pose, you're going to plant both hands. You're going to use your core to squeeze that right knee in and gracefully step it back, Chaturanga Dandasana, all the way down. Hug your elbows into your rib cage. Lower down. Tops of your feet touch the mat, but the knees are lifted, shoulders peel back, and you open up your heart for a deep inhale. Exhale, take your Balasana again. Big toes touch as your knees come out to the width of the mat. Hips over your heels, a long torso, arms out on the mat forward. And the forehead might rest on the mat. Coming out of the pose, meet me in downward facing dog. Plant the right foot, inhale up your left leg high, and exhale, step your left foot forward. Step the right foot forward. Feet back to hip distance and parallel. Take your hands to your shins or fingertips to the mat. Reaching forward through the crown of the head. Take a deep inhale. Exhale, drop the crown of the head. Sink into your hips, take your arms out like airplane wings, and come back to standing with a safe spine. Let your palms touch above you. Take a deep inhale here, and exhale your palms to your heart. All right, here we go. That was one Surya Namaskar A. Let's flow through that one more time, and we're going to put some warrior poses into it. So let's inhale, sweep the arms up high, draw the navel in, and exhale, bow into your forward fold. Planting the palms of your hands on the mat. Inhale, lift up halfway. Exhale again, step that right foot back. This time, pivot that right heel down to the mat. And we're going to rise up to your Virabhadrasana 1. So your left knee is bent. That right leg is super straight. Right pinky toe is pressing into the mat. And you're spinning the right hip forward. So you're trying to square the hips to the front of the mat. And then your arms can rise. Let's take 3 breaths here. Again, use the ujjayi breath. Lifting the back area of the throat to sip in some more oxygen to fuel this pose. One more deep inhale. And on your exhale, let your palms touch and float the right hand behind you. So we're moving into Virabhadrasana 2, Warrior 2. And let's move into Parsvakonasana. So flip your left hand, drop the right arm, sweep your left arm overhead and take a deep inhale. And exhale as you bow, you can float that left forearm to your quad and reach the right arm overhead. And let's hang out here for 5 breaths. Keep drawing the tailbone down long. Keep drawing the navel in, the rib cage in. And if you're looking for a little bit more core, you can float that left arm up. Just 2 more breaths here. And on your next exhale, let's float back to Virabhadrasana 2. Take a deep inhale. Bow deeper into your left knee. And exhale, cartwheel all the way down to the mat. Take your left knee and tuck it into your left tricep. Hang on here for a breath. And on your exhale, lower down, Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, Bhujangasana, shoulders peel back. Exhale, downward facing dog. Plant the left foot. Inhale, lift the right leg high. Exhale, step the right foot forward. Drop that left heel and rise up to Virabhadrasana 1. So once you have that pose, again, you're amplifying the strength, the length of the left leg. Pinky toe pressing down. That right knee bending and bowing your right knee. Sipping that left hip forward. And arms rise. Two more breaths. Use the ujai breath to fuel your pose. And let your palms touch. Let's float to Virabhadrasana 2. You're going to swing that left hip open. Arms parallel to the floor. And start right here by tucking your tailbone down, engaging your core. Let's flip the right hand. Drop your left, sweep the right arm overhead. A nice bow into that right knee and exhale as you bow the right forearm to the quad, left arm overhead. Parsvakonasana, 5 breaths. Feeling length through the left side of your body. Two more breaths. If you wanted to, you could lift that right arm for some extra core. Take a deep inhale and exhale back to Virabhadrasana 2. 1 deep inhale here and exhale as you cartwheel back down. Crawl back onto the ball of that left foot. Press your right knee into your right tricep. Hang out here for me with me with just a breath. And exhale, Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, Bhujangasana. And exhale, downward facing dog out of Vrksasana. Let's plant the right foot. Inhale, lift your left. Exhale, step your left foot forward. Step the right foot forward, feet back to hip distance and parallel. Inhale, lift up halfway. Exhale, drop the crown of the head. Bend into your knees, take your arms out at your sides, and come back to standing, pressing yourself back up. Let your palms touch above you. And exhale your palms to your heart. All right, so that was Surya Namaskar A. We just took the frame of Surya Namaskar A and we added some warrior poses. So really the first sequence that we did was the true Surya Namaskar A. Surya Namaskar B is a little bit more intense. And we're gonna go through 2 of those. The first one's gonna be nice and slow. So we'll go through it together really slow, a few breaths in each pose. And the second one will go in full speed. So if you have some water, take a drink of water. Use your towel if you need to. So we'll go through these 2 more vinyasas. So it's gonna be a really great sequence to get your heart pumping, get your blood flow going. Also really great prep for coming up to the summer solstice coming up, which I'm super jazzed about. And if you belong to the Wisconsin Athletic Club, even if you don't, you can still take my class that I'm hoping to teach on the Saturday before. So help me and I'll help you get yourself ready to salute the sun, warm the earth, and let's just have a good vinyasa, a good sun salutation. So this is the Surya Namaskar B, which is kind of rooted in Ashtanga practice. So you'll walk your feet together so your big toes touch, and you'll have a little keyhole between your heels, maybe 2 inches between your heels. Spread your toes like peacock feathers and press them back into the mat. And then feel that same mountain pose. Feel the same energy, the rooting down through the pose and the lifting up through the crown. The energy of your legs, the energy of your core. Your arms are allowed to just lie at your sides. Dangle at your sides. Shoulders are peeled back. And you have no tension in your eyes, your jaw, or your neck. Take a breath. This is a very important part of the vinyasa. Feeling grounded. Let's inhale. Let your palms rise up. And as you exhale, we're going to go into Vrksasana, your chair pose. Hinge at your hips, bend your knees, take your arms out behind you. This is your exhale. And then inhale as your arms rise, the full expression of Vrksasana. Take a breath here. Full inhale, full exhale. Try to draw your navel up and in. Another inhale and exhale as you bow into a forward fold. Drop the crown of the head. Inhale, lift up halfway, Ardha Uttanasana. Now bend your knees a lot so you can plant the palms of your hands on the mat and walk or float back through Chaturanga Dandasana. Lower down, maybe all the way down, maybe up into your up dog, or you can be taking your Bhujangasana, your cobra pose. And then as you exhale, downward facing dog. Back into your down dog, walk your big toes together. Inhale, lift the right leg high. Exhale, step the right foot forward. So now you know what your warrior pose feels like. Let's rotate that left ankle so your heel touches down and climb up into your warrior pose. You might be already warmed up from the previous sequence. Peeling it left hip forward. And then exhale as you bow into your plank pose. Step the right foot all the way back. You can keep it lifted if you want to. Lower down either to your Bhujangasana, cobra pose, or up dog. And exhale, downward facing dog. We're going to plant the right foot. Inhale, lift your left leg high. Exhale, step your left foot forward. Drop the right heel and rise up to your warrior. Take 3 breaths here. One more deep inhale. Full exhale as you bow down. Plant the palms, Chaturanga Dandasana. Lower all the way down. Elbows tucking in. Up dog or Bhujangasana. Exhale, downward facing dog. And again, your big toes touch. Find your perfect downward facing dog. Bend your knees a lot, gaze forward, and walk or float to the front of the mat. Feet back to big toes touch. Lift up halfway. Here's your Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, drop the crown of the head. On that same exhale, bend your knees and take your arms behind you. Coming back into your chair pose, arms rise. Let's take 2 breaths here. One more deep inhale, let your palms touch. Come to standing on your exhale, and then inhale as you sweep your arms up high. Exhale, Tadasana. All right. Take a few breaths. Standing in your mountain pose, Tadasana. And we'll go through Surya Namaskar B one final time. So that's a nice, energizing vinyasa. Hope you hung in there with me. And we'll go through this one really nice and quick, right? So every inhale has a movement, every exhale has a movement. So it really takes 14 seconds to get through a vinyasa. So it shouldn't take very long at all, and then we'll be done. Let's do it. Take a breath. All right. Let's inhale, sweep your arms up high. Exhale into your chair pose. Inhale, arms rise. Exhale, bow into a forward fold. Inhale, lift up halfway. Exhale, Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, down dog. Plant the left foot. Inhale as you lift the right. Exhale as you step the right foot forward. That left heel is planted. Inhale, Virabhadrasana 1. Exhale, Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, down dog. Inhale, lift your left leg. Exhale, step your left foot forward. Drop that right heel. Rise up, Virabhadrasana. Exhale, Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Bend your knees. Inhale, gaze forward. Exhale, float forward. Inhale, lift up halfway. Exhale, drop the crown. Sink into your hips, bend your knees, arms are back. Inhale, arms rise. Exhale, come to standing. And I've got to be off camera. Let's move. I'm going to step it back. Here we are in your Tadasana mountain pose. All right. Almost doing yoga. Just stay out. Stay out, everybody. All right. So let's go into one standing balance pose. We're going to go into tree pose, Vrksasana. So take a drink of water, use your towel if you need to, and find yourself standing on the mat. Find either on the mat, sometimes people like to step off the mat, that's totally cool, whatever you choose to do. Let's start by planting, and I'll mirror you here. So planting the right foot. Find that right foot planted into the mat. Big toes, big toe press, in exterior heel presses, baby toes all pressed into the mat, and the inner heel presses into the mat. So variation 1, you can keep the toes of your left foot on the mat, and just the heel of that left foot touches the inner right shin. And this is your variation 1. And your hands can come to your heart in prayer pose or any other pose that feels good for you. As long as you're feeling your balance, you're feeling 100% tuned into this pose. Variation 2, the entire sole of that left foot can come up off the mat and onto the inner right shin. All right. And then variation 3, just avoid the right knee. And you can bring that left foot to the inside of the right thigh. And the standing pose, the right leg feels really strong. It's doing all the work, as if you're pressing the right leg back into the left sole of the foot. All right, so finding your variation 1, 2, or 3, whichever pose you think you need right now. And then moving your hands to any mudra or any pose you think you'd like. Hands at heart center is kind of what I've chosen right now, but your arms can be above you. Hands can be in reversed prayer. Hold this pose for just another breath. Feeling really strong in that right leg. And we're coming out of the pose. Float that left foot back down. Standing with both feet on the mat. Close your eyes. Enjoy the luxury of having both feet on the mat. Let's open the eyes. Now pressing your left foot into the mat. And again, I'm mirroring you. Left big toe, baby toes, inner heel, outer heel pressing into the mat. Find variation 1 where the heel of your right foot touches the inner shin. Or variation 2. Sole of the right foot to the inner left shin. Or variation 3, just avoid the knee area. And you'll set up this pose with your right foot on the inner left thigh. And you'll find a drishti, a focal point, something for your eyes to zone in on. And again, your hands, your arms can be wherever you think you need them right now, just to find your balance, just to find comfort in this pose. And whenever you feel your balance pose is wobbly. It's just your body doing all the work it's supposed to do in the pose. It's very normal to activate the muscles of the foot and the leg in these balance poses. So let's come out of the pose. Standing again on both feet, close your eyes. Soak back into that meditation of feeling happiness. Your true focal point throughout this yoga practice is finding your own happiness. Let's open the eyes. So if we can balance on our feet, we can balance on our hands, or at least we'll try, right? So let's come down to kneeling on the mat just for a little bit, just for a little sequence. Let's take the hands out in front and just place your hands, palms at your shoulder distance, out in front of you, maybe about a foot in front of your knees. And let's rotate, planting the entire circumference of your hands into the mat, just rotating in a clockwise motion. And let's go on the counterclockwise motion. So it's the opposite rotation. And then let's move the hands. Let's point the fingers in toward each other. Middle fingers pointing directly at each other. And again, moving into that clockwise motion. And then go that back into the counterclockwise motion. And the entire circumference of both hands pressing into the mat so that you can really, truly feel this stretch. And now the heels of the hands in toward each other, fingers apart. And a clockwise rotation. Just a few in the clockwise rotation. Feeling that full range of motion for your wrists. And then go in the counterclockwise rotation. And then finally, planting the backs of the hands on the mat and the palms of your hands up before we move into this pose. Try to press every knuckle into the mat, every single knuckle, every nail into the mat. And of course the backs of the hands. And now let's move into the clockwise rotation. Trying to keep your hands pressing into the mat. Back to the hands, firmly pressing in. And then go into the counterclockwise motion. Same range of motion, both sides. Last one. Good. Come back to sitting on your heels. Do some rotations with your hands. Full range of motion for your wrists. And let's come up onto soles of your feet, Vrksasana. So, Vrksasana. This might be really difficult. Like there's times where I can't get my heels down to the mat. Right now it kind of feels like one of those times. All right, there I am. So soles of your feet, your heels really should come down to the mat. If this is really not happening for you, you got your books or your blocks or maybe your Amazon boxes or whatever it is, and you can place them below your sits bones and you can just come down to sitting. Maybe you only need one, maybe you don't need any. Have those blocks handy though, because I'll show you how they might come in handy for Vrksasana, crow pose, which we'll do in just a moment. So Vrksasana, use props. Take a seat on a stool, a box, blocks, whatever you have. If you're almost there, like you can hold this pose and it's feeling kind of comfortable, but you're just not quite getting your heels down to the mat, what you probably really need to do is hinge forward, hinge more forward. So you can practice by reaching out onto the mat and sometimes pressing your triceps into your knees open and allow you to hold this pose. I'll even say, like if you've got some weights handy, you might place weights a couple feet in front of you and hold onto them in order to anchor your hips down, anchor your heels down, and then you're forcing your body weight to hold forward, which is actually a way of faking out the core work that enables this pose. So a bowling ball or whatever you have that might, bag of rice, whatever you have that might weigh about 5 to 10 pounds. All right, so if you're feeling good in Vrksasana and you want to go into Vrksasana, I'm going to show you, I'm going to give you the side view. of how we'll go into a crow pose. So if you're sitting on that block, you're already halfway there. You'll place your hands. You'll come to standing on the block. Go away. Okay, boo-boo, move your poo-poo. All right, so you'll plant your palms of your hands, and you're on the ball of your feet, on the block. And maybe this is where you are today. Maybe this is exactly where the pose needs to be. Maybe, if you're feeling comfortable, you'll plant the palms of your hands, and you'll just press your knees up into the highest place on your triceps. Maybe you'll play with lifting off one foot. Maybe you'll lift off both feet. If you do this pose with me every Wednesday night in Empower Yoga, you might feel pretty comfortable because you do this pose a lot. And you can cross your ankles. You can even start by crossing your ankles on the block and then lift up. Or when you're in the pose, cross your ankles and then uncross them and cross them the other way. And you can advance this practice a little bit by crossing and uncrossing your ankles in this pose. And that's a great way to challenge your core. All right, I know you guys are trying it. You're giving it a shot. This is a really fun pose. So take your time, even press pause on the video if you're really getting into it, or we'll move into a forward fold. Buddy, you're in mama's way. Okay, so my yoga mat has been commandeered. So you'll come into a Dandasana, river pose. Your feet out in front of you. And you might have your strap or a towel or sweatshirt, whatever you have nearby. That might just be enough extra slack to wrap around the ball of the foot. So you can place a strap around the ball of the foot. Before we bow into this forward fold, the work is in keeping the spine long. So lifting through the crown of the head, and then exhale as you hinge forward into your comfortable version of this pose. All right. I'm going to get off of my mat. Okay. Go away, go. Mama's doing yoga. Move your poo-poo. All right, so you are in a forward fold. If you're feeling, I know a few of you who like to advance the pose, take a block and place it below your feet. This will help you really keep the ankles active as you fold into a forward fold. Legs are straight. We're going to hold this for about 5 more breaths. As you release the energy of the back of the leg, you'll find more room to stretch through your spine, through your psoas muscle, every iliocostalis muscle that allows your spine to have its core strength. Breathe into the back. Breathe into the entire outside of this mat, beginning from the back of the heels, gastrocnemius, hamstrings, glutes, all of the muscles of the core up the spine. Even let the forehead get heavy and stretch to the nape of the neck. Let's come out of the pose. Let's come into a wide angle forward fold. So coming into that same, very similar pose. I'm going to have my block handy just for another prop. Maybe you'll have a block handy. Or if you've got other props, might give us a shot. So you're going to go into what feels like a comfortable wide angle fold, and actually scoot forward on your sit bones so that you can feel really like hinging forward. And I might not use this prop. So you'll come into a forward fold that feels comfortable for you. Getting into your variation of a forward fold, and maybe your elbows are on a block. Maybe you've got a couch cushion or a pillow, whatever it is. Coming into a comfortable stretch for your inner thighs. And let's take about 5 more breaths here. Okay, 2 more breaths. Activate the ankles. Keep your ankles active and maybe see if you can bow an inch deeper into this pose. Let's come up out of the pose. Walk your hands back towards you to lift back up. Let's scoop the hands under the knees and draw the knees back in. And we're going to move into one final core pose. Nice hatha core pose. Parsvakonasana boat pose. So you're already feeling really forward on your sit bones. And you can take your hands behind your hamstrings. Crawl up on the toes of your feet. And maybe you'll stay right here. Peel the shoulders back and think about drawing the navel in and drawing the rib cage in, firing up your transverse and rectus abdominals, and maybe even just engaging your abdominals so much that it feels kind of like you're bowing your low back. So stay here, or lift your toes off the mat. Play with using your core, tucking your navel, tucking your rib cage in. Maybe you can take your shins up. The orientation is being parallel to the floor. Maybe you can release your hamstrings. You're holding an imaginary beach ball and you're squeezing a tennis ball between your knees. For 2 more breaths, maybe you'll just take the bend out of the knees and reach your hands toward your toes. 1 more deep inhale, and exhale, take your hands to your knees, roll all the way down on the mat, roll from side to side, massaging your spine into the mat. And we're going to move into Shavasana just in a few moments here. Walking or rolling from side to side on the mat. Let's take the feet. I'm going to go give you a side view. Your feet up into L pose. Take your hands behind your hamstrings and just draw the shins closer to you, knees closer to you. If you wanted to now, Halasana, your plow pose, would be a good orientation, a good pose to take right now. So if you didn't want plow pose, you can lower one leg and draw your opposite knee in, maybe even lengthen that leg. Maybe come into half, happy baby, and do that on the other side too. I misjudged the distance. You should actually be able to lengthen that opposite leg all the way down to the mat. So take about 5 breaths of your own. Move into any final yoga asana that you think you need before you move into Shavasana, your final relaxation. So taking a few breaths. And as you get ready for your Shavasana, maybe you can cue the music that relaxes you. And I challenge you just to move back into that meditation, that frame of happiness. So as you quiet your mind, as you close your eyes and you move into a relaxation pose, start to sift through the present moment and your self-actualization, your present moment on and off the mat, and harness all of the positive energy that you witness and let go of any negative energy that you find along your journey. And so if you haven't yet, recline all the way back into a corpse pose, lying all the way on your back. So like a starfish beached on the sand, lying all the way down. Your feet are out wider than hip distance, arms are out wider than shoulder distance. You're relaxing the weight of the head on the very back of the skull. And every muscle of your body has a chance to relax and melt into this pose. And so what you're doing in Shavasana, in your final relaxation, is you're lying still, you're lying down on the mat. A very well-deserved pose at the end of every yoga practice, especially vinyasa, especially some good core and blood flow poses. So finding this level of comfort, scan your body and find any areas that have yet to relax. and intentionally relax them by breathing into those areas. And I will let you take as long of a Shavasana as you like. When you feel your Shavasana is complete, you come up out of this pose. And you can come back into a comfortable sitting posture. And I thank you so much for tuning in and continuing to enjoy and empower yoga practice on your pursuit of happiness. Namaste.